I'm Allie, and today we're diving into the life-altering decisions and subtle romance behind Love Under a Sicilian Moon with written answers from its author, Annabel Cole. Let's get started. If Love Under a Sicilian Moon became a movie, what scene would you most be excited to see? Wow, that's a difficult question to answer. I think it would have to be the moment when Lia and Matteo kiss for the first time. I spent a long time writing that scene, shaping the emotions and the build-up between them. When it finally came together, it was a very satisfying experience as a writer. So seeing that moment brought to life on screen would be quite special. But there are just so many scenes I enjoyed writing that it is really hard to choose just one. What was yours, if I may ask? For me, I would have to say that I would like to see the scenes where Lia and Matteo just have coffee in the mornings, which is a really integral part of their relationship. I'd like to see what they talk about and even just the quiet contentment between them. I think that'd be a really cool scene to see. What was the very first idea or image that sparked this story? I was at work in London, moving through one of those long corporate walkways and buildings when I saw a woman walk past me. She was impeccably dressed, the kind of composed, confident presence you often see in senior leadership. I knew who she was, the head of a major division, someone who had clearly reached the upper tiers of the corporate world. But what struck me was the expression on her face. For just a moment, she looked deeply sad. That small moment stayed with me. It made me wonder about the questions, or perhaps even answers people are seeking that lies beneath the surface of success. Had she made the choices she truly wanted, or the ones she felt she should make? Was she happy with the life she had built, or had something important been traded along the way? That brief encounter started me thinking about the gap between what we believe will make us happy and what actually does. As I said above, I work in a corporate environment, and it can be hard. It also made me think about how identity, trust, and our sense of worth can get shaken when we lose a job, which happened to me years ago, or when someone close betrays us, something I have seen in friends and family. The story grew from these ideas, placing those emotions in a very different setting to explore what might happen next. Lia spends much of the story trying to prove her worth through work. What inspired you to explore that struggle between identity and professional success? Lia's struggle comes from a question I have often asked myself while working in the corporate world. How much of our identity becomes tied to what we do for a living? In many professional environments, achievement is measurable. Titles, promotions, performance reviews, and targets provide constant signals about whether we are succeeding or falling short. Over time, it becomes very easy to let those signals define personal worth. I wanted to explore what happens when someone begins to equate competence with value as a human being. Lia believes that if she performs well enough, works hard enough, and proves herself beyond doubt, then everything else in her life will fall into place. But emotional fulfillment does not follow the same rules as corporate success. Through her journey in Sicily, I wanted to contrast those two worlds and show how identity can shift when a person begins to question the assumptions they have built their life around. This answer, I think, also ties in nicely with your question on what was the very first idea or image that sparked this story. Many readers connect with stories about reevaluating priorities. What do you hope readers reflect on after finishing the book? I hope each reader simply enjoys the book and, based on their own experiences, finds a measure of truth in the story that resonates with them. What small detail about Sicilian vineyards did you discover during your research that fascinated you? One detail that fascinated me during my research was how naturally wine is woven into everyday life on a Sicilian vineyard. It is not treated as a luxury product or something reserved for special occasions. On many family estates, the wine they produce is simply the wine that appears on the table at lunch and dinner. Workers might have a light glass with the midday meal, and the family often tastes wine directly from barrels in the cellar as part of the normal routine of running the vineyard. What struck me most was that the vineyard is not just a workplace, it is the center of family life. The house, the cellar, and the vines are often all part of the same property, sometimes owned by the same family for generations. That closeness between land, work, and family fascinated me, and in a small way, I wanted to show that connection in Love Under a Sicilian Moon, so the vineyard would feel like a real lived-in place rather than just a romantic backdrop. Looking back at the writing process, what do you think this book taught you about storytelling? Writing a story happens in layers. Each pass adds nuance, emotional depth, character insight, and thematic clarity. What I discovered while writing this book is that those layers only emerge if you are willing to keep working at the story, revisiting scenes, refining motivations, and strengthening the emotional threads that run through it. I am very much a plotter, so I begin with a clear structure and direction for the story. But I also learned to leave space within that structure for inspiration. Sometimes a character reacts in a way you did not plan, or a moment between two characters grows into something more meaningful than you expected. Allowing room for those unexpected turns keeps the writing process exciting and often leads the story to richer and more authentic places. How did you approach building trust between Lia and Matteo so that it felt earned rather than rushed? I wanted the trust between Lia and Matteo to develop slowly through shared experience rather than dramatic declarations. At the start of the story, they come from opposite worlds. Lia represents the corporate environment that Matteo already distrusts, and Matteo is fiercely protective of the vineyard and the life his family has built there. Because of that, trust could not appear suddenly. It had to grow through small moments where they begin to see each other differently. As they spend time working together on the vineyard's challenges, they start to notice qualities in each other that contradict their first assumptions. Matteo sees Lia's competence and integrity, and he also recognizes an inner strength in her, a determination to do what is right even when the choices are difficult. Lia, in turn, begins to see Matteo's loyalty, his honesty, and the deep care he has for the people who work on the vineyard and depend on it. Those moments allow them to move past their initial assumptions. Trust then grows gradually through everyday interactions and shared problem solving, allowing the relationship to feel organic and earned rather than rushed. Incidentally, the trust they build eventually exposes the treasured misbeliefs they both carry. By embracing that trust, they are able to let go of beliefs that once protected them but no longer serve them. Matteo's brother adds a lot of warmth to the story. Was he always a part of the plan, or did he appear unexpectedly while writing? Unexpectedly. Matteo is a hardworking, physical man with hard, distrustful edges shaped by his past experiences. But beneath that exterior, there is also a softer, warmer side. Nico became a natural way to reveal that part of him. Through the way Matteo cares for his brother, Lia begins to see a different dimension of his character. It also creates a point of connection between them because she understands what it means to carry responsibility for someone you love, having cared for her own sister. Nico also represents something else I wanted to show in a small way. Despite the challenges people may face, every person has worth and the ability to bring joy to the people around them. Thank you to Annabel Cole for your answers. They are wonderful and so insightful. And join us next week for another Plotopsy.